Guys, so this is What If Moon Knight was in Young Justice Part 2. Now, before I dive into the what if, I just want to say a few things. Tomorrow is when I'm going to be uploading my stop motion, or Friday or Saturday, I'm going to be uploading my stop motion. Now, today, I'm going to be doing a double upload, or trying to. This video is most likely going to drop during the afternoon, or doing maybe 6:50 in the afternoon on Wednesday, right after the season finale of Moon Knight. No spoilers, by the way. Now, I am going to be doing a Moon Knight what if. Like, not really. Scratch that, because don't really want to mess with the series. But, basically, let's just. So, the pit is simple. I'm just going to be uploading my stop motion in a couple days, about 3 days tops. And today, or tonight, I'm going to be uploading my what if Benton was Colossus, or if I upload it too late in the night, I don't want to upload it at midnight, so I'm probably just going to upload it tomorrow morning. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's just dive right into this video. Now we start our story off doing episode 15 right after the events of episode 14 with the Injustice League, where we see Moon Knight fight against the Injustice League alongside the Young Justice and introducing himself for the first time. Now, as Moon Knight introduces himself, Batman offers him a spot on the team, as Moon Knight accepts after the convincing of Khonshu. Mark Spector agrees. Now, last time I said that I was going to introduce Moon Knight and more personalities of Mark Spector, and I'm going to be doing just that. As Mark Spector makes his way down to Mount Justice after he leaves most of his stuff back at the pretty much apartment or little apartment or building he was living in, basically him moving into Mount Justice in more of the more darker corners of Mount Justice dorm areas. Now, as Moon Knight is staying there, and I did say Moon Knight was about like 17, like a teenager, as Moon Knight or Mark Spector is basically just doing his thing, just working out in his room. His room being more of a Egyptian type art style, having sand around his bed, and kind of the same type of setup as Stephen Grant's room in the Moon Knight TV show, but a little bit more marked, a little bit more, Khonshu type. Basically, having secret compartments in the drawers and a bunch of other stuff in his room, plus multiple different Egyptian weapons pretty much bolted on his room or room walls and a bunch of other stuff. Also, pretty much a moon crescent logo carved on the door of his room. Basically, as we see Mark leave his dorm room, as we get switched to the original beginning of the episode, as we see pretty much a scientist will quote a poem about the prodigal son, as we see one other henchman, that same henchman that was, pretty much a robot clone or robot in, or the pretty much the human that the robot was engineered after what happened during the tornado episode, where we see the Young Justice fight against Tornado, but we see that he was being piloted by another robot, pretty much modeled after the, well, pretty much helper in the lab. As the scientist says that the particle son is Tornado, and he's basically working on Tornado's body, basically trying to make a better Red Tornado, a more modified one. Him having him on the back burner, but still modifying Red Tornado. As Red Tornado, since last time Red Tornado was taken, pretty much later on in the series, if you forgot, basically he's being taken apart and modified, and let's just say mind controlled. Now, as this is happening, we see the team in Mount Justice, as we see Mark eating something in the kitchen, him just minding his own business. As we see Wally just, doing his whole thing, with his arm still being broken for some reason in this continuity. Pretty much Captain Marvel still doing his whole entire thing, him being kind of a simp towards Wally West. Not simp, but more of a, let's just say, servant to Wally West, basically giving him his stuff and, his drinks, trying to help him with his broken arm. As we see the rest of the team training, as Mark walks into the room right behind, Wally getting kind of scared, saying, what the heck is going on? Basically, him being kind of jolted by how Mark just disappeared out of nowhere. As Mark comes behind them and basically tries to introduce himself, as Megan says, I don't know who you are, Mark Spector. Basically, her trying to read his mind, but seeing that his mind was broken, it was all these different voices and personalities stuck in there, so crowded that at this point Megan couldn't recognize if it was his voice or somebody else's. Her being blurred by his emotions and being pretty much kicked out instantly out of his mind as she steps back. As this happens, we see that Santana, the magician, basically introduces his daughter, Santana and Santara. So basically, what happened is, well, Megan is talking to the rest of the team telepathically, as pretty much Wally, so as a telepathic communication, and everything in the episode comes similarly the same. As pretty much, Moon Knight or Mark just stays still and not really, wanting to be a part of their mind link. Now, as Megan tries to link them, as she, asks. So basically, it's simple. Mark says he doesn't want to be a part of their psychic link, saying that my mind's too crowded already as it is, and saying that he doesn't want to be a part of your little psychic communication bull. Basically, him walking away, just being kind of stingy. Now, as the rest of the team. Now, before Mark leaves, the team tells Santara and basically asking Black Canary as well. It's been weeks since Red Tornado's been missing, and we need to find out where he is. The Justice League said they would find him, but he hasn't been found since. Not even a blink, not even a pickup line on Red Tornado. As they would say the Justice League is working on it, Mark yelling, or not really yelling, but Buddy and saying they're not working on anything. I've been in multiple different states, countries, and multiple different, let's just say assassin-like teams. And I've known for a fact that when people say they're looking for somebody, they mainly take months or even years to start actually looking. Basically, Mark saying that it's all on the side of hand for the, I would say, the balances, the, scales. Basically saying that if you really want to find him yourself, you're gonna have to look for yourself. Basically, as Mark walks off, as Black Canary just says ignore him, but we are working on it. All of us are working on it, saying that Batman is also looking for him as well. But pretty much Connor's saying that's not good enough. He's been missing for weeks. We haven't talked about him or anything, and he's just been gone. Now, as the rest of the episode plays out similarly the same, as they still, take Santana for a little bit of a, tour around the base, or around Mount Justice, as they're talking about the whole entire thing, as they eventually have the idea to look for Red Tornado themselves. Now, Santana also wants to join as well on this whole entire, let's just say scavenger trip or whatnot. As Mark also butts in, saying, so we're going out. Basically, Mark says, cool. He takes out his pretty much, moon crescent that he uses to, summon the suit magically, and slaps it on his chest, forming it into his Moon Knight outfit. As they depart through the bioship out of Happy Harbor, basically them saying that we're just showing Satana around Happy Harbor, telling Black Canary that so she can get off their back. Now, as that happens, we see that they start to make their way to, an illogical solution, asking Wally to make a illogical pretty much stance on how they're going to find Red Tornado, saying that Batman's the greatest detective in the world and he's searched every logical place Red Tornado could be. But we truly need a illogical solution. A truly dumb and stupid, ignorant, idiotic idea. Them literally looking straight towards Wally. As Wally says, okay, that's kind of mean, but actually I do. As they go on their mission and they eventually find who they're looking for, and they go on this little, let's just say, goose hunt or goose chase after Red Tornado. This rapid chase, we get switched to the scientist talking about the successes and downfalls of his attempts to make an android to infiltrate the Justice League or the Justice League of Society, starting with Water Torpedo. Basically, a robot designed or modified to think that he is human. But that system or that making was, let's just say, downfall. He never quite fit in. Then he tried again with a female firewoman? I don't really know, firecatcher, as that android was also programmed to think that she was human, but was also, well, too heroic, killing herself through her first couple days of debuting. Now, as that would have happened, he wanted to do a third attempt, making sure this android this time knew he was an android and gave him heroic designs as well. Basically, him pitting him in the way of the, Justice League Society, and them introducing him in their team. As he says that the only downfall was the android's Pinocchio desire to be more human, and also heroicism became way too much for the programming to make him, well, infiltrate the Justice League. Now, basically, as Red Tornado was told that he was somewhat of a failure, but saying that, yet again, I'm going to replace you, make you better, make sure my plan will work this time. Now, as the scientists still do their thing, as we get switched to when the rest of the team starts to interrogate Ivo. As Ivo says nothing, and as, well, Moon Knight is kind of peed off, not really, wanting to sit here and just hear this, he goes off the rails, and pretty much he runs towards Ivo and grabs him by the neck and starts to batter his brains in. As he would just go crazy on, well, Ivo, just punching him over and over and over in the face, Batman style, just literally DCU, like straight up the Batman type interrogation. I mean, just Punisher type of style. Just punching him senseless, cutting his, almost like taunting him to cut his fingers off with one of his Moon Crescent batarangs, and basically just overall just taunting him and making sure he'll say what he has to say. As he eventually says, or gets the information, as the rest of the team is very shocked at what happened. Connor trying to stop him as Ivo's giving the information, or about to, and pretty much Moon Knight telling Connor to back off, as Connor gets kind of angry and saying, you can't be doing this is wrong. Basically, Moon Knight saying, doesn't matter if it's wrong, as long as you get the information, it's always right. And plus, it's not like I'm killing him. Basically, as Ivo says, I'll tell you what you want. Moon Knight saying, it better not be a lie, or else, and him kicking Ivo upside the head and throwing him against the wall, I'll kill you myself. And basically, as Ivo tells him everything, the truth, and Ivo, passes out of shock and also loss of blood, because he did cut off Ivo's pinky finger. We see that Moon Knight throws Ivo down to the ground and says, there. Would have, the scientist, as a scientist, would have introduced to Red Tornado, Red Torpedo, and Red Inferno their new brother, Red Volcano. As Red Volcano will be introduced to, well, his brothers and sister, as Red Volcano would have been the new successor of Red Tornado, supposed to be better than him, like pretty much a combination of his sister and his two brothers. As he says that Red Volcano is programmed not to infiltrate, but to simply destroy the Justice League. Just take them down all at once. Now, as pretty much Red Volcano would have woken up, he would have instantly killed the scientist, saying that, pretty much the scientist, as he was getting killed, saying, you're hurting me, son. Basically, him, or Red Volcano, saying that you've made me to transcend the meaning or the need to act or be human. Like you said, no more Pinocchios. As he would kill or just straight up, well, rip the arms off the scientist. But we find that the scientist was a robot the whole time. As in conclusion, like, where is the real scientist? But after that would happen, Red Volcano. After this would happen, as we see the rest of the team switch to the team, as Moon Knight or Mark would have been in the bioship, and they would have said, or pretty much Connor would have had a little bit of a brush with Moon Knight, saying, why did you have to do that? Basically, him saying that Ivo wasn't giving him information, and I had to get out of him one way or another. Now, basically, as Mark would have walked away, or would have just looked away into the or was it into the window of the battleship, as all of them would have been, let's just say, pretty much kind of stingy. Mainly Connor would have been stingy towards Moon Knight alongside Wally and a couple others. But Robin still understanding that, well, technically he had to do what he needed to get the information. And he didn't even know Red Tornado. So he wasn't even, driven to actually do anything about it. But he still did something about it. Now, basically, as Robin would have been conflicted somewhat, he would still feel like he was bad, like he did, a little bit too much of a job on Ivo. But basically, Moon Knight would have said, let's go and check this deal or this location he gave us. Now, as they would make their way down to the scientist lair or the area they were given, basically, them being told, basically, what was it? Well, let's just say Aqualad would have told, Mark that was very stupid and it wasn't very called for you to do that. As Mark would have said, whatever, man. Basically, him just brushing it off. Now, as Aqualad would have told the team that Black Canary and the Justice League will know about our visit to Ivo. Obviously, more than they would have because Ivo was almost in critical condition. It has to be better for the few couple weeks. Basically, Moon Knight saying whatever. Just a few broken bones and a cut off finger. Nothing too damageable. Or, broken. As Aqualad would have just brushed this off and told them that they had to work fast before the Justice League gets here. As they go on with their mission and they quickly land near the area, as Santara conjures herself up a type of magician type outfit as her hero costume. As they land down, they still have the little petty squabble between Connor and Aqualad, but still they make their way down, and then you start to sneak around through the jungle or through the forest to the doctor or the scientist base as they would try to figure out what's going on. As we could switch to Red Volcano explaining his whole mastermind plan of, well, let's just say, unaliving everybody on Earth. Now, as he would go on about his plan, saying that only people that would be left is machinery, and that is true power. Now, as we get switched to Ivo being in like a semi-cast, him having bandages on his chest and having a cast on his left arm, him also having a few a few stitch marks on his face, as he would have been talking to Red Volcano through the telephone line. As we could switch to Yellowstone National Park, October 10th, with the Young Justice, as they would still be sneaking around. Now, Moon Knight, his outfit is mainly, already stealthy, so he didn't have to change anything. So he didn't put any stealth gear in his suit, since it is a magical suit. So he basically just kept it as it is, since it already is kind of semi-built for stealth, since the majority of it is black and gray. Now, Santara and everybody would have started to waltz around. They would eventually get spotted by the, androids or robots, as Red Tornado would have jumped over there and would have confronted them. As Red Tornado would have started the fight against them, Moon Knight would have dipped into the shadows or into a deeper area so he can hide, and would have watched the rest of the team get folded or just get, mollywopped by Red Tornado. As he would have found a perfect situation, a perfect way to dip or slide in to basically take down the, Red Tornado. Or, Red Tornado, because he just saw him as Red Tornado. Like, he didn't see him as a friend since he just met the dude. As pretty much Connor and Aqualad try to fight against Red Tornado, they easily get duped because Red Tornado is a Justice League member, so, he's on the Justice League for a reason. Now, as the team starts to get, just mollywop after mollywop, just getting folded left and right, as Wally starts to try to, pretty much fight back using a speedster type of hurricane. But it barely does much of anything, as Megan tries to fight as well, but Megan gets thrown right into Wally, getting bashed. Now, as the rest of the team starts to get almost overpowered, Santara tries to use her powers, and Santana tries to use her powers to stop, but Red Tornado stops her from talking, and pretty much knocks her out. Now, he starts to take their, pretty much air away, knocking them all out. Out of nowhere, a shuriken flies right towards Red Tornado. Red Tornado dodges, but it hits Red Tornado's leg. Red Tornado falls out to the ground, and it starts to disable his powers. Some sort of magic field. disabling technology for, well, some of the technology. As Red Tornado tries to fight back, as he pretty much runs and tries to fight. Now, basically, as Red Tornado tries to fight against, pretty much Nightwing. I mean, it wasn't Nightwing, but Moon Knight. As Moon Knight starts to dodge most of his attacks, as Moon Knight takes one huge blast of wind to the chest, him getting hit right into a pillar, or not a pillar, but in a mountain. As Moon Knight gets up, Khonshu tells him. Khonshu tries to give Mark some help, as Mark starts to freak out, him being very badly injured, as he starts to switch through personality to personality, as he eventually switches to a new personality. New personality being Mr. Knight, as Mr. Knight would have emerged from the smoke that came after the fight, as he would have woken up, as he would have gotten up and he would have taken out two batons, he would have said, "About time he let me go." Now, as he would run into the fight, basically Mr. Knight being a combination of Stephen Grant's personality as well, him being behind the mask of Mr. Knight, Stephen Grant. Now, Stephen Grant or Mr. Knight would have started to run down the hill and run straight towards pretty much, well, or not run, pretty much, but just straight up sprint, like straight up Naruto style, like super fast towards Red Tornado. As Red Tornado would eventually get approached by Red Volcano making a huge crater underneath Moon Knight, making him fall through it and closing it up with concrete. Pretty much about to smush Mr. Knight. As Mr. Knight tries to overpower it, he takes out his two batons and combines them and makes a bow staff, kind of like the staff that Goku had when he was younger, and pretty much puts it between the pretty much pillars or rocks that was covering him or trying to smush him, and he jumps over the staff out of the pit, and the pit pretty much smushes or crushes the bow staff. But the staff is able to be reconstructed in Mr. Knight's hands, him breaking it apart into, well, batons again. As he would run towards pretty much Red Tornado, as he would have dodged most of his attacks alongside Red Volcano's attacks. But as Mr. Knight would have realized with his detective skills that this was all just plain dead, that no one was really injured, as he would just play dead and take a hit from Red Tornado. As pretty much Red Volcano would have, shown the truth that he would have solved the message Red Tornado blow in the sand to play dead. So Red Volcano fought against him, starting to attack him. As the rest of the team would have fought alongside them, pretty much Robin being confused on the new outfit change, as Santana would have sensed some sort of magic or ancient Egyptian magic within Mr. Knight, as Mr. Knight would have looked at her saying, "What's your problem?" with a British accent, and basically him saying, "Just watch and learn," as he would take the two batons out and basically combine them into a bow staff again, as he would run straight towards pretty much Red Volcano, as Red Volcano would have started to attack all of them using his earthbending ability like powers to pretty much take them out or try to eliminate them. As Mr. Knight would have started to fight against them all, basically him throwing up a bow staff or Batman like right behind Red Volcano. As Red Volcano would have dodged it, melting the bow staff, but finding out that the melting point on the bow staff was incredibly powerful, as Centauri used her magic to try to blind Red Volcano. Red Volcano would have been taking hits left and right by pretty much, well, the superhuman strength that Mr. Knight has, as he would have punched pretty much Red Volcano over and over. As Red Volcano would have gotten angry, or let's just say pissed, as he would use his pretty much earthbending or lava bending abilities, making a huge lava volcano, as he would start to fight against them, as Red Tornado would have been talking to pretty much Red Torpedo and Red Inferno, basically telling them that they need to join together to stop Red Volcano. As Red Volcano would have started to attack the Justice, or was it the Team, as Wally would have tried to fight back, as Wally would have again quickly overpowered alongside the other team. As the rest of the team would have tried to fight against, pretty much Red Volcano, as Red Volcano would have started to one-shot them all. As Red Volcano was about to get attacked by Megan, as Megan would get hit with a lava blast weaken her because of the heat. As she would start to get bodied by Red Volcano, as Mr. Knight would have been in the background, as he would have started to run straight towards Red Volcano, sneaking up on him. As Red Volcano would have thrown a huge lava blast towards Mr. Knight, Mr. Knight would have dodged it, throwing a baton straight towards Red Volcano's head. Red Volcano being actually pretty, angry about this, as he would hit a huge lava blast towards Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight saying you fell for the trick. Basically, him taking a huge, loan of power from Conchu, shooting a huge wave of air, or pretty much, well, wind, the wind from the night sky, as he would have started to fight back against Red Volcano. As Red Volcano would have started to try to fight back, as Red Torpedo and Red Inferno, and also Red Tornado would have started to double tag against pretty much, would have started to fight against, well, let's just say Red Volcano by pretty much drowning him in lava, as Red Tornado would have been saved at the last second by Superboy, as his legs would be melted, but Red Volcano would have been taken down alongside Red Torpedo and Red Inferno because they sacrificed their lives to take down Red Volcano. As pretty much Red Tornado would have been told to stop it, and Red Tornado would have used the loss of his powers to try to stop the volcano from blasting. Basically, him using his abilities one last time as fast as he can to take down or to stop the volcano from going. The volcano would have been dried up and stopped, as the team would have been successful today. Now, as Red Tornado would have fell down to the ground, him being hurt or injured, I guess, and we will see that Inferno would have been no more. And also, Red Torpedo and also Red Volcano would have been gone. As Red Volcano would have been gone, but Red Tornado would have been, fixed up by the rest of the team, and his legs would still be gone, but they're gonna fix that later. Now, Mr. Knight would have been in the background, and Megan would have tried to read his mind, seeing that it was kind of blocked somewhat, but it was different. He had a different voice in his mind, a different personality, a different person. It was confusing to her. Sort of a different type of, let's just say, personality, person, soul, mind. Now, as Mr. Knight would have stuck in the shadows, after they would have started to, just do their whole entire thing, Red Tornado being saved and the Justice League showing up shortly after, as they would get picked up by the Justice League and make their way back to Mount Justice. In this canon, we will see that Red Tornado would have been fixed up and would have visited the scientist that made him in the first place, because he's super old, because the Justice Society of Heroes, the American Society of Heroes, I guess I think that was his name was. They were in the 1950s or something, maybe even younger than that, meaning that pretty much the old man would have been in his 30s or 20s when he made the Red Tornado bot. So obviously he aged years, decades, but basically, to hit it simple, that's what happened. Now, after the episode would have ended off, Santara being kind of mad about his daughter going off with the team, as Black Canary would have said that was okay and was fine, and pretty much they would have found Red Tornado. If they would have ended off the episode there, we would see the end credit scene in the episode for some reason, while the last final part of the episode would have been Mr. Knight, or pretty much Mark in a mind space. When Mark goes to sleep, he'll be in a mind space, a white mind space that would be somewhat like a void, a white void, as he would ask them, or pretty much ask, why in the heck was he here? And why was his, why did he black out? And why did he wake up in his room the next night with a completely different suit on? Him having white dress shoes on and batons in his hands. Him passed out on the floor. As Conchi would explain that he has personalities living in his mind, as Mark Spector would have said, I have multiple personality disorder, I know that, but why was it so powerful this time? I never blacked out before. As Conchu explains that his personality has been supercharged by the magic abilities that he's given to him, that now his abilities are more powerful than he thought. His mind is broken more than ever, but still able to be configured or put together. Now, as this would have happened, we would see the pretty much the episode 16 would have started. Now we switched to episode 16. Now this episode might be like an hour long, but I'm gonna try to skip over this episode pretty quickly. The episode starts off with the Justice League, or the main members of the Justice League, being literally clapped by some sort of alien devices or alien ships. The world being overran by these alien ships, them killing literally everybody on Earth. Superman's gone, Batman's gone, Green Lanterns are gone, everybody is about to get bodied. As Reginald tells the rest of the team that you are the last defense, and basically, here's this. As Moon Knight talks to Khonshu, trying to figure out what's going on, as Khonshu tells Moon Knight that I cannot, show you anymore. As Khonshu feels different, like tweaky. As Khonshu tells pretty much Moon Knight that you need to wake up, and Moon Knight, before he can understand what he's saying, Khonshu just disappears, like he can't hold his form anymore. As Khonshu appears somewhere else. As we get switched to the rest of the episode, we see pretty much Flash and a bunch of other people try to, stop the aliens, as the alien ships start to murk everybody, including Iris West, Flash, and basically everybody. Pretty much the whole thing just flies down to nothingness. Everybody is gone. Everybody's getting murked left and right. No one is safe. No one is safe. Now, as the rest of the episode goes on with a montage of most of the heroes, most Justice Leaguers being murked, as they eventually find a safe place where one of the ships are just sitting there as they find the Fortress of Solitude. As Connor's kind of angry about this, as pretty much Moon Knight just goes with the flow. As they go down there, Moon Knight's suit is mainly, somewhat magical, so it's mainly there for all type of resistance, but he can change the color palette, meaning that as Moon Knight would have been in a suit similar to this, more of the all-white suit he has in the comics, him sprinting around. As they would make their way near the ship, as they would try to find out a plan to take down the ship, as they would start to take down the ship's, blaster, sensor, and try to take it down. As they would land the ship blasting towards them, the ship eventually getting to Artemis. Artemis getting taken out pretty quickly. As Moon Knight would have tried to stop Artemis' death, pushing her out the way, but he would get slightly glazed by the laser. As the laser would have almost hit Moon Knight dodging out the way, but it blasting right towards Moon Knight again, but Artemis pushing him out the way. When the rest of the team is trying to stop the blaster, Artemis still gets blasted and taken out, and Moon Knight blames himself for Artemis dying. After this, as the blaster would have gone off or malfunctioned, as Wolf would have also taken a blast as well, him also dying as well. As Wolf would have gotten blasted alongside not Megan, but Artemis, and Moon Knight's cape would have been blasted off as well. Basically, him saying that this was completely just horrible, as it would have been taken down pretty quickly, as pretty much in this canon, since originally, pretty much Artemis wasn't taken down by the blaster, but this time she was taken down by the, pretty much malfunction of the blaster. But now we see that Artemis would have been taken out by the blaster, and pretty much they would have gone, whack. They would try to take down other ships, as other ships would have been taken down pretty quickly, and one of the other ships would have blasted accidentally towards Moon Knight. Moon Knight would have dodged it pretty quickly, as it would have hit the ground. As they start to go on their journey, them being very distraught about Artemis' death, as they switch to the rest of everything else. As they go on with the mission, Moon Knight just powering through it, not really wanting to face the consequences of how he let someone on his team die, or let somebody die, because he's always there for vengeance. He's here to protect the weak, people that can't protect themselves. As Superboy takes down the ships that are coming towards the U.S. military in Washington, as they take them down pretty quickly. Most of the soldiers thinking Superboy is Superman, as they say Superman is Superman. Basically, them saying that he looks a little bit younger now. And basically, Superboy says he's not Superman, but the sergeant says, I don't care who you are. You're wearing that symbol and you're doing his job. Now, pretty much we can switch to Moon Knight back in his normal outfit, as Moon Knight would have just said that let's just get this over with. Now, as the rest of the team is saluted by the Sarge, and the Sarge tells them that, or he tells them that we need to get to the Hall of Justice and figure out what's going on. Now basically, they go to the Hall of Justice and they see that it's completely destroyed. But Martian Manhunter is also there. Somewhat he survived the blast. As he asks what happened to the rest of everybody else, he says, I don't remember. I just woke up behind here for some reason. Now, what would happen after this, as pretty much Martian Manhunter would have told them, or would have, pretty much told them that he doesn't know what happened, but they would have thought that the blaster somehow, teleported, teleported beings or creatures or people to different places, as the ships or the aliens would have infiltrated or would have came towards Washington towards Hall of Justice, as they would have taken down Bioship, basically Megan being distraught by this, her feeling the death of Bioship, or feeling her presence just wiped. As the rest of the team would have made an escape route through the portal, or pretty much the, boom tube that's in the Hall of Justice, as they would have started to get out there as quick as possible. As Martian Manhunter would have scanned himself in, scanning others, as in the team, also Mr. Knight, or now it was Moon Knight, and basically they would have tried to blitz everybody to get through the boom tube. Now, as they would try to get through the boom tube, as they're fighting and a bunch of other stuff, as pretty much Superboy stays behind alongside Aqualad to try to save the soldiers, and also Mark is there as well. Mark saving the soldiers as well. As Mark tells them we gotta go, basically him being there as well with the soldier and Connor as they get scanned, and basically him also being scanned as well. As he tells Aqualad that we need to go now, as Aqualad says he's staying behind. As Aqualad tells him that you need to go now, that we can't just leave you behind. As Aqualad tells him that to take Martian Manhunter and to go. Him throwing Martian Manhunter in Mark's chest, and Mark being blasted through the pretty much boom tube, and Aqualad being taken out. As they stay there throughout Mount Justice, saying that Aqualad is gone, and that all of the Earth's heroes are dead. They're gone. But we might be able to save them. They might be teleported somewhere. As Martian Manhunter tries to digress, saying that isn't true, but they at least have hope. As they go out for the hope part, basically them infiltrating the mothership, trying to figure out if the portals or anything has been, or the most of the Earth's heroes have been teleported or not. As the rest of the teenage heroes on the team try to fight back, Robin being packed up, and basically everybody getting ready for the battle they're about to face. As they do a whole intermission or tell everybody, Gotham High students and everybody else, that to have hope and that we're going to save the world. And basically, as this happens, as all the other heroes try to fight back, as pretty much Robin tries to find out a plan how to get into the mothership. As Moon Knight says that I feel something's weird off, something's off. As Moon Knight tries to figure out what's going on, as he just goes with the flow, as he sprints off. As he sprints off into the shadows, he tells them that he's going to go on the other half, try to sneak through, as Martian Manhunter and Megan try to get through the ship. As they go cloak style and phase through the ship, as they try to figure out what's going on. As they tell the rest of the team that they got in, as they go alongside their mission and try to figure out what's going on. As they go into the ship, they start to take down the blasters and a bunch of other stuff, alarming the mothership, but him using the other mothership's blasters to take down the other ones and to try to fight back a good fight. As the rest of the team starts to get mollywobbed left and right, as Wally, Robin, and Wally, Robin, and Moon Knight start to sneak around the base, as they start to sneak around and see what's going on. As they are saved by pretty much Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian, because the blaster was about to take him out. But we see that Connor is eventually taken out, and he is marked. As Megan feels this death, as she feels he feels that Connor is gone, and she starts to break down. As Moon Knight tells them, you can't stop being a wussy and let's go. Basically him saying that they might be alive, that we need to go now. Basically, as the rest of them get told that, there's no one here, they're dead. And all of them are shocked. Moon Knight saying I refuse to believe that. As he walks off, distraught because he looked at some of the heroes in the Justice League. But basically, he tells them that we need to keep on moving. If they're dead, we at least have to avenge them, take down the mothership, and stop it all. Now, as the rest of them go on with the mission, as pretty much Miss Martian, Mr. Martian Manhunter, Miss Marvel, Robin, Speedy, not Speedy, Kid Flash, and Moon Knight all jump in trying to take down, the pretty much mothership. As Robin's almost pulled into the middle of the energy field in the mothership as they figure out the gravitational pull is freaky and stuff. As they get out from the gravitational pull of it, Moon Knight using his grappling hook to grab both of them and get them out the way as he throws a shuriken right towards one of the blast bots before Miss Martian and Martian Manhunter can get to it. Now basically, as they start to figure out that the gravity is kind of weird and stuff, as they fall back onto the main power source, as pretty much Robin tries to set a 4-minute detonator onto the power ship or onto the power source of the ship. As the ship goes into lockdown and they can't get out, as Moon Knight says to move, as he tries to use one of his bow staffs to try to pry open the door. As they start to get attacked, Moon Knight ducks out the way in the same area as pretty much, Robin and Kid Flash, as they're all taken out and they see that they have to stay. And they try to fight one last fight. All three of them going into blaze of glory. But the ship blows up and Miss Martian and Martian Manhunter are the only people that survived. As they say that, your friends are dead and it's been a loss. But Miss Martian is out of nowhere killed by Martian Manhunter. And Martian Manhunter says that, and pretty much says that, it's never over. Some sort of ominous type thing. As Miss Martian wakes up in this fever dream, alongside Mark waking up as well, his mind even being more fractured as well. Him getting an extra personality, I won't say right now, but we'll have an introduction in part 3, near the end of part 3. As they all wake up from their psychic dream, somewhat Conchu being relieved that Mark's out of this state, as they say that Martian Manhunter all took him to a mind state to train them to see if they would survive in a all-around apocalyptic type situation if the Justice League was ever eliminated. Now, after this, we'll see they were all put to this, pretty much telepathic game, and pretty much Connor was kind of, mad about it. The rest of them were all shocked about it, and they were all distraught about it. Moon Knight feeling the, effects of death, feeling dying, because before the ship blew up, he got stabbed in the chest by one of the metal pipes on the blast robots, and he felt that, pain through his chest. As we see that Moon Knight or Mark feels the pain of death twice in, feels the pain of death twice in a row. He feels somewhat of, grief for himself, and also he felt actual genuine sadness for Artemis's death. But we see that everybody else that was blasted felt the shock, or pretty much the thing of dying. And what happened is, as the episode ends off there, we see that it's all over. And I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And before I, peace out, just going to say one thing. In part 3, episode 17 and 18, there's going to be a lot more about, more of Moon Knight. More Mark Spector and Stephen Grant's personalities and how they're going to mix with each other. And on top of that, I'm going to be introducing a third personality Mark Spector has. Now, I'm going to leave it up here, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed